Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new series. My name is thegameblot, and we're going to be playing Simcity. Currently sitting on Trinity Point. We have not done anything yet. We're just gonna sit here, just gonna take a look and play some of this fantastic game that I haven't played in quite some time. Yeah, it actually has been a while. All right, so obviously all the little guys here, they are gonna all pop up and give us tooltips. As it happens, this is our main city view. We also have city specializations. Again, more tooltips. We'll get to that in a second. First things first. This one doesn't have a lot of resources, but if you do want to check out your resources, here it is. All your data maps for things like population, your happiness, as well as your building density, things like residential, land value, whether or not things have got electricity, they've got water or sewerage happening, amongst a whole bunch of other things. Down here, second from the bottom, is all your natural resources. And as you can tell, as we run through the coal and the minerals, oil, trade, and tourism, we have none as of yet. Things will happen as we build. And to get out of it, you just click the cross. The game is currently paused. That's all right. Right now, we've got $50,000 to mess with. For now. So we are actually going to build a small little thing in this corner here. And we're just gonna build it at a low density. Just gonna build some houses. Shift obviously is to draw stuff in a straight line, but for the most part, people just use the guides. They are there for a reason, and they are great. All right, we've got some roads. Fantastic. Next thing, zones. We can zone some stuff. Let's run the game. Right, he's now directed everything. We now have roads. Let's make some residential. The green is residential, obviously. Put some commercial here alongside the road. And then some industrial on the other side. The wind actually is facing away from the residential. This is something that is going to be very, very handy for you to take note of at a later point, particularly when things like illnesses start happening. Fact, if you put your residential in front of your factories, then people will start getting sick. Not something you want to have happen, I can assure you. Right, we're just going to put down a... Ooh. I think we may actually just want to put down a large road like that for now. And we're currently running low on money. Just a little bit. So just going to put down just an access road so we can actually start generating some electricity. All right. I'm going to go for some cheap power for now. The wind is running in that direction. That's fine. All buildings have a waiting period before they start activating. They need to hire, obviously, people. And those people need to find places to live. We got a decent amount of water here, but not a whole lot. I think we'll start off with putting it there for now. Just a basic water tower. Alright, we do need to generate some income. We are running out of money. And one last thing, this will actually, I'm going to just put that, we don't have enough simoleons for it right now. Simoleons is our cash. And we need 3,500 of it. We can't mess with taxes right now because we don't have a town hall. But we are getting there. We're going to bump the game speed up a little bit. We're slowly losing less and less money as people come in. And we've started generating power. Oh no, we have unpowered buildings. Whatever. Alright, we are making 72 simoleons. 180 simoleons per hour. Yay! First things first, lady. We need to worry about poop. Poop will happen. Town halls are usually free. It's at the mayor's house. Alright, we're going to put you in... Oh, I don't know. Here, I guess? Seems like a good idea. This is where your governmental buildings can be found. Eventually, we're going to remove all this so we can actually make... We're going to leave it as Trinity Point for now. Ignore the pop-up in the top left-hand corner. But yeah, the Town Hall will upgrade as we get more and more residents. And this is your governmental tab. Power is something that we brushed over. There are many different kinds of power. Some you need to research, some is readily available at the start, but you do need money for it. Let's put it this way, some of it is clean, some of it actually generates a fair amount of pollution. The ones that generate pollution do output a fair amount more power than some of the cleaner forms, but again, pollution is bad because it does have adverse environmental effects. In much the same way, some of these things do a little bit more. So this one outputs 6 kilogallons per hour. This one outputs 10, but it costs more. And this one obviously is a water pumping station. Outputs a whole lot more. And they'll become available as the game runs. Again, here, sewerage, some more utilities. You start off with this one, the outflow pipe. It does generate a fair amount of pollution, because it just pumps stuff out. That's all it does. And that pollution does spread as time goes by. But eventually, as time goes on, you will get different ways of processing your waste. So we cover the government tab. You start off with just a basic town hall, and that upgrades at some point when you get 5,000 residents. We're currently capped, I think, because we don't have any more room for housing. You get a mayor's house at some point as well, when you hit a population of 10,000. And finally, the mayor's mansion. Not something I generally build all that often because you run out of space really, really quickly. You are limited to the amount of space that you find here, unlike some other city building games. And the idea is to build tall rather than wide. Here we have some more waste disposal. It's usually like garbage trucks, recycling centres, as well as this one, a ground scrubber, which gets rid of pollution generated by buildings such as our sewage outflow pipe. All of these are really, really useful. So garbage is just obviously your everyday waste. Everyday household items, you know. Everything just goes in the bin, and that will dump it all and then burn it. This one actually takes out all your plastics. It takes out all your alloys and your metals from your garbage and recycles it, and that gets generated into further products later down the line. Haven't really had time to mess with the ground scrubber, but yeah, I would assume that it does exactly what it says it does, which is to remove pollution from the ground. You got your other ones, your other basics, so you got your fire, your health services, your fire service as well. That's all fairly straightforward. You know, you firemen dealing with fires within your town, you got your health services dealing with sick people, and your police making sure that everything is safe from robbers. You got your education, so schools, different kinds. You got a university, community college, public library, also education, as well as your high schools and your primary schools. And then bus stops so that people have access to get to said schooling. Mass transit is your buses and trains, boats and planes, and then when you get your future tech, maglevs. Very, very cool things. Finally, you've got all of your parks. This is all good for building up the beauty of your areas, building up the density of your areas as well. Some pretty cool stuff, but they do cost money to run, and obviously money to buy in the first place. Sometimes it is worth it to use the more expensive ones, depending on what kind of people you want living in what areas. So the more expensive the park, the wealthier the people that will be attracted to that particular area of your city will be. And so on and so forth. And finally, disasters. Now, I think there may be some... I think disasters are enabled on this playthrough. I am not certain. But I guess we'll find out later on. Alright, underneath our user interface, also over here is our bulldozer, which means, you know, getting rid of buildings. We're not actually going to get rid of any of them right now anyway. Obviously, we've covered some of the data maps. We'll get into that in more detail. Underneath that, obviously, is your timer, your name, your general population happiness. They're actually relatively happy. Most of this is clickable as well. So we can. So it also tells us the year and what month it is. You can speed it up. You can slow it down. You can pause it. Our approval rating is currently at 72%, and it is going up because of the commercial happiness, which is pretty good. We are generating a fair amount of money. This is where you'll find out how much you have and how much you're making per hour. Clicking on that will bring up your city budget window, which will tell you exactly how it is divided. Alright, so we can make a little bit more income by bumping taxes. Eventually you do get to divide up your tax rate depending on how much people make. but right now it is just one size fits all. So we get this much money from our residents, this much money from our businesses, and this much money from our industry. And then we're spending it all on this stuff. So the red is what you spend, the green is what you gain. You can take out loans called bonds for your city, depending on whether or not you need an extra bit of dosh to bump up the amount of cash you have for your next project. And obviously you can sell it off within the same window as well. We'll get to that at another point as well, because guaranteed we will be taking loans. This is our population map. So obviously our city was not there through all of March to December, but now in January and February, we have people. And this will tell us what percentage of our population is wealthy, what percentage is, do they live here, or are they just visiting for the day. And our mouse seems to have gone missing. Oh, there it is. Right-click brought that back. All right, finally the city specialization tab. All right, again, similar sort of deal. The UI here is almost exactly the same as this one, except for slight different distances. They're all like for specializing in different bits. We're just going to pause the game right now. We have a mining tab. Again, we can see if there's any resources underneath the ground. No, there is not. That's all right. Drilling, again, this is for things like, so mining is for your raw material like coal and metals, or ores rather, and that can be smelted, that can be processed, or just sold straight off. Ditto again with the oil stuff that's dealing with, you suck crude oil out of the ground and you can sell it or you can refine it further. Trade is for dealing with everything, so you sell most of, well, everything in this tab via the trade depots. And depending on how much money you make, you can actually turn that into a bit of a business empire. We were talking about plastics, alloys, and metals earlier from our recycling centers. They can be used to generate further things like electronics, and a few other bits and pieces. So processors, you can turn those processors into things like TVs and computers. And again, you can generate a decent bit of money out of that. I've had cities where it is completely and utterly, I'm losing money hand over fist, but every time I sell processors and electronics, I make more than enough money to keep my head afloat. Tourism is based around the acquiring of various landmarks well known throughout the real world. Things like the Arc de Triomphe, Big Ben, the Eiffel Tower, and that generates a tourism dollar. It brings people in from elsewhere within the sim world to spend money at your stores, visit your attractions, and these attractions are divided up into various different things. So landmark stadiums, well-known stadiums throughout some of the stuff. Actually, they're not. They're just generic stadiums. Various attractions, so these would be like theme parks, amusement parks, or giant big stuff. And then places of worship. So you got your churches, your mosques, modern temples. It's all there. Another form of income is gambling. This is something I generally try to avoid because it does actually bring a fair amount of crime into your city. But however, if you want to go that way, you can. And then finally we have, or not finally, but mega towers are a great place if you are wanting to increase your population but don't have any room to grow. So you've finally grown out enough that you've used up all the space. It's now time to grow up. So you put these down and they will put... So say a house has like 5 people in it. These things can hold like 300 people per floor. And you get a decent amount of floors, as you can see here. You also are capped out on the amount of mega towers that you can have. So you got 8 there that you can fill, and it could either be just your standard mega tower or your elite mega towers, which obviously bring in a wealthier class of people. Finally, the academy. This is used for getting better things like where is it? This here, the sewage sanitizer uses stuff generated by the academy. It generates a resource called control net. So if you don't have enough of it, then the buildings that use it will not work. You can generate it by putting it down these control net facilities, or just by having a lot of things being researched at the academy. And your last resource, which might delve into, is Omega Co. And this takes over your businesses, and if there's not enough of it, your business is shut down. Again, can also generate a decent amount of income for your city. I try to avoid that though, because it sometimes just goes horribly, horribly, horribly wrong. All right, and this is our little town here for now. We're actually going to put down a park. We're going to make people happier. We're not going to make it too big. We're just going to put down a blacktop. Oh, that doesn't actually... There we go. Parks all have an area of effect as well. So if we put that closer to the commercial areas, that will actually influence them as well. It's also a good way of protecting your industry areas from things like the bad influences. So we now have areas of higher land wealth. Sorry, let's just take a look at that right now. Your land wealth map is something you're going to be want to pay attention to as well. Areas where there is nothing here, it usually means there's going to be low income people, low income residents. Areas like this it's good. It's good for low wealth, but they're not going to be overly happy about it because of the bad land value generated by the industry. And obviously, the higher it goes, the better wealth people you'll find. And that's where Trinity Point stands at this point in time. My name is thegameblot. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next episode.